talk about what it would look like if a dismissive avoidant, and I'm just going to say a dismissive avoidant man, got their dream girl. So in my case, it would be like someone super outdoorsy, someone who really likes sports, someone super low maintenance, someone who is more independent, it has a handle on their own life, like isn't super like clingy or affectionate or overly loving, doesn't really request much from him. What I think would happen if a dismissive avoidant ended up in a relationship with someone like this who they believe in their mind is their dream girl, like, oh, low maintenance, like sports, blah, 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 avoidant, like won't be clingy, won't be overwhelming. I think the initial stage would be really good because I think the avoidant would be like, oh my God, this person likes all the same things I like. They're low maintenance. They can just wake up in the morning and brush their perfectly long, brunette, healthy hair and, climb out of bed with no makeup and go river rafting with me. This is so great. But I think what would start to happen in the relationship and where the triggers would be for the avoidant is that a person like this would trigger all of the avoidance insecurities. So where someone anxious, like me or like whoever's watching this, triggers a lot of fear in the avoidant, like the avoidant feels afraid because we are requesting so much commitment and so much intimacy. I think that if an avoidant is placed with another avoidant person, I think that would trigger all of the avoidance insecurities. Number one, what avoidants truly want deep down is actual love, connection, validation, because that's what they didn't get when they were a kid. And that's why they are attracted to anxious people in the first place, because we do come off so reassuring and so loving, and that feels good to them. So not having as much of that in the relationship, even if they were still getting it, but if they weren't getting it as much as they were getting it with you, I could see them start comparing. So anytime that this person didn't give them the type of affection that you did, I could see them keeping these mental tallies of like, oh, I wish she would do this. Even though in the relationship with you, they hated it, I bet you anything, they would start to compare. This would also hit an insecurity of like, why aren't they giving me affection? Why aren't they thinking I'm like the best thing in the entire world? Second thing, I have been with more emotionally unavailable types where we had everything in common talent-wise. So like art, music, like we had all the same things in common. And what I always noticed is that my unavailable male partner would start to be in competition with me. Even though I was not any better at these things than them, in fact, a lot of them were like brilliant and so talented at what they did, but I could, when you can just feel it. I think that the avoidant would start feeling bored with the fact that this person liked doing all the same things as them, and there was nothing that they could teach, because the avoidant likes to feel strong and capable. And if they're in a situation with someone who is good at all the same things as them and already knows how to do these things and already has this whole life on their own where they've been doing these things this whole time, then the avoidant has nothing to teach them. The avoidant can't show up and be like, oh, you want to learn about football? Oh my God, let me tell you all the rules. This is how they do this. And then they have their girlfriend looking at them like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like looking at them in awe. If you have all the same things in common and you do all the same things, there are benefits of that because you can do those things together and it's so much fun. But there's also benefits to having some differences because then you can teach the person. And I think that especially avoidant men really get off on that. So I think this would be a huge insecurity for them, the fact that they could not show up as strong and capable in these situations. And I think that they would start getting in competition. I really think that overall, the main feeling that the avoidant man would have is a feeling of like lackluster after a while and a feeling of insecurity because they are not being chased, they are not being clung to, they are not being needed. And as much as that might feel relieving, I think at the same time it will make them feel bored because what they are so accustomed to and so used to is that suffocation feeling of anxious partners. And so I don't think they would know what to do in this scenario.